Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hello and welcome back to Chinese Pod, coming to you from Shanghai, China, and bringing you lessons in spoken Mandarin. Today's lesson is the second level, our elementary lesson here. If you find that it is not suited to you, if it's too difficult or indeed too easy, go to ChinesePod.com and you'll find a whole bunch of alternative lessons that should suit your level. Now, my name is Ken Carroll and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. Could you give us a little bit of context on today's lesson, please?
Super useful. It's about doggy bagging.
Doggy bagging.
As you always tend to order too much in a Chinese restaurant.
That's very interesting because I haven't heard the term doggy bag, which is usually a noun, as a verb. But that's interesting. It's about doggy bagging. That kind of sounds funny. All right, so we're doggy bagging here today, and do you want to give us maybe a word from the dialogue that we could listen out for? We've got some context, a little bit of co-text now. Give us one word maybe from the dialogue that we're going to hear.
打包 打包
打包. Now,
And please don't make fun of me again.
no, I'm not making fun. It was a great expression there. 打包. Because if I was to start making fun of your English, believe me, you could have a lot of fun at my expense with Mandarin, so I won't start that. Now, 打包 is a really... listen to the sound again. Let's hear that again.
打包 打包
Now, that means literally to bag it, doesn't it? To put it into a bag.
Yeah, to put it in a bag and sort of
wrap
it. Yeah.
Bao meaning like to wrap. Whatever. You got the idea. Put it into a bag. It's something you say when you're leaving a restaurant. You want to take something with you. Chinese food is kind of interesting that way. You know, unlike Western food, you get stuff on your individual plate.
Yeah.
You wouldn't normally take it away, what you've left. But because Chinese food is kind of communal on the table, you could have situations where there are whole dishes there that nobody has really touched. And so in that case, you might want to 打包, right?
Yes.
And so that's what we got. All right, good. Now let's listen to this dialogue 3 times and we'll come back and we'll break it down.
服务员，这些打包。
好，
汤可以打包吗？
没问题。
Second time. 服务员，这些打包。
好，
汤可以打包吗？
没问题。
Third time. 服务员，这些打包。
好，
汤可以打包吗？
没问题。
Okay, good. Now, translations. How did you know that?
服务员，这些打包。
Waiter, can you put this stuff in a bag for me?
服务员，这些打包。
Waiter, can you bag this stuff? I want to take it with me.
服务员，这些打包。好。
All right.
好。
Okay.
好。汤可以打包吗？
Can you put the soup in a bag?
汤可以打包吗？
Is it possible to put the soup into a bag?
汤可以打包吗？没问题。
No problem.
没问题。
Sure.
没问题。
All right, now, again, a subject we've touched on. You have 2 options when you learn these types of phrases. One is to start with an English phrase and then try to translate it literally. And it rarely works, even at the level of individual word. Yeah. But at the level of lexical phrases, it almost never works. And so you can see sometimes my translations, they vary from the first to the second version of it. Now, so let's look at the first sentence and see what this has of interest for us here.
服务员，这些打包。服务员，这些 打包
Okay, now the first one is the first thing of interest is how you actually address a waiter. And so that is
服务员服务员
now this basically means service person.
Yes.
Person who does service. So the word service is
服务服务
great. 服务. And that is used quite commonly in the same way that the word service is,
Yes.
the service is good. You could talk about the 服务.
can also be used as a verb to
Yes,
serve.
to serve. And then the person here, the person who plays the role, who works in that role is the
员
Now, that is a term that we will see in other contexts. But right now, just to remember, a waiter, whether it be male or female, it's the same. You can call them.
服务员服务员
Okay. Now, the next part was this stuff.
这些
Now, again, this is in context here. So there's something on the table, and in this case, you'd need to be pointing to it in this case. If you didn't indicate, it would be kind of meaningless.
The whole
right?
table.
The whole table, yeah. So you're pointing and you're saying 这些, meaning this bunch of stuff, these things, and then
打包打包
So, literally meaning these things, wrap them into a bag, right? So that's, I want to take them away, put them in a doggy bag. Now, again, you see that these sentences don't really translate that easily into English. So what you need to do is go for the phrase that is most likely to be heard in Chinese. And that's the key to sounding fluent, in fact, in Chinese. Now, so let's listen to that sentence again.
服务员这些打包服务员这些打包
Good. Now, and of course, the guy's in agreement and he says,
好
Hey guys, it's Michael here at Chinese Pod, and we want to say thank you to all of our faithful subscribers. If you're not registered yet, head over to ChinesePod.com now and get 20% off.
We got promo codes, save your money. Promo codes, learn Chinese. Register now at ChinesePod.com.
Use promo code GET20 at checkout to get 20% off your first year.
pretty straightforward. Now, you want to also take the soup with you. So you say,
汤可以打包吗？
good. Now, the word for soup is,
汤
now, that is first tone.
That's
right?
correct.
Now, I often confuse that with the word for sugar, which is
糖 the second tone.
the second tone. Now, I'm trying to think of a mnemonic right here. 汤 for soup and 糖 for sugar, but I can't.
Me neither.
Maybe you just think in terms of if you're learning at this stage. Look, tongue is the first word that you remember because tongue comes first in your meal, maybe in the English way.
Yes.
I don't know. Tongue soup comes first, and that's maybe one mnemonic for you. To this day, I still confuse them. I'm in the restaurant. Which one is it? Is it tongue or tongue? Anyway.
But that was a brilliant mnemonic.
Okay, thank you. So that soup comes first, and it's tongue for soup. All right, first tone. Now, and you want to know if you can take the soup. Now, the verb to be able to, as in can I, is
可以
now, in this case, it kind of means may I,
Yes.
right? So again, may I, can I take the soup with me? Can you wrap the soup for me too? And so once again, that is,
可以
and so could you put it in a bag for me is,
可以打包吗？可以打包吗？
great. Now, and so the whole thing together is,
汤可以打包吗？
great. So could you wrap the soup? Could you bag it? It just doesn't work
Yeah,
in English.
because you don't put soup in a bag.
You
Not
see,
normally.
This is
yeah.
funny how, I get this, I've always been interested in languages, and over the years I've studied a few, and you always inevitably find that a number of words in each language, for me, are just so much more efficient than the way we say things in English. And of course, English has
Vice
tons and
versa,
tons of
yeah.
things that are much more efficient than other languages. It's just the way it is. Anyway, so that was that. Now, the waiter is going, no problem.
没问题， 没问题
Now, 问题 literally means question, right? And
or problem.
or problem. And so 没问题, that 没 is the same as 没有的没,
Yes,
right?
which
Meaning no,
no,
or none. So 没问题, no problem. Now again, let's listen to that sound 没问题 because it's very, very common and you can listen to the sound of it again.
没问题没问题
Great. Now, let's listen to this dialogue, super practical dialogue, 3 more times, in fact.
服务员，这些打包
好，
汤可以打包吗
没问题。
？Second time， 服务员，这些打包
好，
汤可以打包吗
没问题。
？Third time， 服务员，这些打包
好，
汤可以打包吗？
没问题。
Great, good. Now, briefly to review some of the words. So, the word for waiter, male or female waiter, you call that person
服务员，服务员，
to bag something, to put something in a bag, to take it with you.
打包，打包，
The word for soup.
汤，汤，
And remember, soup comes first. Although not necessarily in the Chinese style, but in the Western style. And no problem.
没问题，没问题。
Great. That was good. Thank you, Jenny. We do advise you to go to ChinesePod.com to drill down, to get more detail on these words, to see them in more context. See
And
them-
much more topics.
Indeed, and to study the transcripts, do the vocab, and acquire the language. But I think for now, Jenny, it is time for us to say
再见。
Chinese
中文
pod
pod
dot
点
com
com
ChinesePod.com Mandarin on your terms.
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number 0217. So just go to www.chinesepod.com/0217 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/0217.